Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Today, I want to tell you about Northern Ireland. I had promised you a podcast recently about Ireland, so I want to talk about that now. So, to do that, we first must go back into history. So, Ireland was ruled by the UK as one complete country, one island, all the way up until the 1920s when there was the Irish Civil War. There are many reasons for this war, but basically they wanted independence and they wanted to remove the British soldiers, they wanted their own autonomy. So there was a very fierce and bloody battle. And after that battle, the English soldiers went north. And if you can imagine on a map what Ireland looks like, it kind of sits at an angle. So it kind of like points a little bit towards the UK. So in the northern part, there's many British people, many British families, and people who would associate more with being British. So, as the British left Ireland, they went north and they declared they were going to keep the top bit, which is Northern Ireland. Now, ever since that time, there's been a lot of fighting because Southern Ireland doesn't recognise the North. It recognises one island, which is Irish. The Church, the Catholic Church, also doesn't recognize the North. It just recognizes its people. The British government, of course, they recognize the North, and it's a fully integrated part of the UK. The British government gave the North its own parliament when other parliaments were being given. So in the 1990s, Scotland was given its own parliament back, Wales was given a parliament, and so was Northern Ireland. Because of the problems in Northern Ireland and the violence, the Northern Ireland Parliament was always a little bit difficult to manage because the representatives in it are from the Republic of Ireland, are from the north of Ireland, and are from different divisions which Northern Ireland has. Some of those divisions are because of religion. And there are people who want Ireland to be part of the South again. There are people who want Ireland to be completely independent. And there are people who want Ireland to be always part of the UK. Currently, the leading party, that's the DUP, they're called the Democratic Unionist Party because they want to be part of the Union, part of the UK. But unfortunately, they're finding Brexit kind of difficult because Brexit meant that all the stuff coming into the UK from the European Union and all the stuff going out has to go through Northern Ireland. But the border for checking was placed in the Irish Sea. That's the bit of sea between Ireland and the UK. You see, there's no hard border between the north and the south of Ireland, so they tried to create a border for the purposes of checking food and stuff going to and coming from the UK. Well, of course, nobody liked that because that border in Ireland between the north and the south is very, very sensitive. And there's a history about that because that border, it was agreed there would never be any hard border between the north and south. So Boris Johnson, he decided to make a soft border in the Irish Sea, avoiding any problems by creating a border at the actual north-south border of Ireland. That was all good, but of course, the leading party in the Northern Irish Parliament didn't like it. And they have been fighting about that. And then it got to a point that they just refused to sit in Parliament until the British government fixed it. So there's been no Irish Parliament since the time of Brexit, because the DUP, they just keep saying, no, this isn't for us. We don't want this. No, no, no. We don't want to be left outside of the UK. We don't want our state to be part of Europe. We're part of the UK. So any checking that's to be done should be done somewhere else, or should be done with full recognition that we are British. So there's been no Irish Parliament. I mean, Northern Irish Parliament. The Northern Irish Parliament is often referred to as the executive. That's how we refer to it, the executive. So that's a very broad and very general history. So now, in the last few days, Europe and Britain have agreed some way to resolve this. So they've created some special way of getting goods in and out of Ireland without worrying about borders. There's a green lane and a red lane for stuff to go in and out, and the executive will have full power to veto anything it feels it doesn't like. The DUP have already, I think, 8 times already refused to cooperate with the British government on this, and refused different suggestions to resolve the issue. And they still haven't commented on this latest one, but it is possible that they could completely block it. So all of these photographs of Rishi Sunak with Ursula von der Leyen from the EU and saying how wonderful it is that they now have a deal are a little bit premature, because firstly, this deal still has to be voted upon in the British Parliament, and secondly, well, if the DUP, the Democratic Ulster Party, don't like it, it might not go ahead. And the fact that they've kind of refused 8 times already would suggest that something could happen. Anyway, the good thing is that everyone is agreed that there should not be any violence, because in the past there was a lot of violence in Ireland, and the reason why this is so sensitive now is because just last week somebody in Ireland, a policeman, was shot dead. I'm not sure who shot him, but presumably it was for some political reason, either from the south or from the north, or from a group that wants more autonomy or less autonomy. Who knows? I don't know. I know people have been arrested, but this is very common in Northern Ireland, politics by violence, and they're really trying to stop that. We've enjoyed a long time of peace in Northern Ireland since the 1990s, when Tony Blair made some agreements with them, but Brexit kind of interfered with that, because Brexit automatically, by default, brought a border back between the north and south. And that was always part of the peace agreement, that there would never be a border there. Of course, the border is not enforced, and that's why Boris Johnson had to make sure that there weren't going to be checkpoints at that border. So it's very, very sensitive, and I have a feeling that unfortunately this isn't just going to go away. I think this will be ongoing for quite some time. The history of Ireland is very, very interesting, how such a small country was able to get rid of Britain and to create an autonomy. But more interesting is Northern Ireland. And last year it celebrated 100 years of its existence. So there we are. That's a very short guide to Ireland. It's very complex, much more complex than I've kind of outlined there, but I hope that's given you a very rough idea of what it's like. Thank you very much and have a wonderful, wonderful day.